welcome to my channel, Out of the Darkness. I'm Nicole Esterly, and this is a video series I've designed dedicated to helping other women who are stuck in a pattern of living out of the shame and guilt from the sins of their past. I want to start and open quoting a famous playwright by the name of George Sand, who once penned a line, "There is only one true happiness in life, and that is to love and to be loved." And George, I couldn't agree with you more. But how do we find that happiness or peace, if you will, if we're still struggling with the belief that we aren't even good enough to be loved? So last week I shared some pretty ugly, shameful things that I had experienced in my past, and even some shameful things I had done due to that experience. But it was understanding that how that event was part of a cause of a lifetime of bad decisions. And it was also from those bad decisions and that event that created this kind of broken or dark belief system within me, if you will. Beliefs that led me to further down this road of just poor decisions and more harm and more just more hurtful to myself over the years. And some of these beliefs I think you can probably recognize. Beliefs that I was very ashamed, like I had done something wrong, that I was bad, that I was very broken and couldn't be whole again, and a belief that I was not lovable, at least not the way I was. And I also had a belief that I was sick because of having these sexual feelings turned on inside of my body, or at the young age that I was, I didn't understand what they were. So all of those things were going on in myself, all of these terrible thoughts. And it was even along later in my life, after doing even further dumb stuff, such as being promiscuous and being unfaithful to husbands and having an abortion and all those kinds of things, that I further started to believe that I was even too broken, too dirty, and even have sin too great for even God to love me. And you know, we grow up as children saying God loves us all, no matter what, yada, 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 right? Well, I believed I even fell outside of His grace at that point. I actually even thought at one point in time that if I tried or dared to walk into a church, that the church would burn to the ground, you know, like those great horror movies that I talked to you, I love to watch, or that I would be literally struck by lightning. I can assure you that has not happened. I'm not aware of any churches burning down that I've been in, not that I know of, and that I've yet to be struck by lightning. So these are all good things. And it was funny today when I was at church, I shared that thought with the youth pastor, and he looked at me and smiled and he said, "You know, Nicole, if that was true, there wouldn't be a church still standing on the earth today." And we both kind of laughed, but what he was getting at, and what I understand and know to be true, is that essentially all of us are guilty of one thing or another. And there's actually a piece of scripture in the Bible that talks about that very fact, and one I like to relate to and remember when I'm having those moments of doubt, or those moments where I think I'm better than somebody else, because I didn't do that at least, was a line that says, "All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God." And you know, the amazing thing is, what they're saying is nobody on this earth walking except one man is better than somebody else or hasn't done something wrong. So I want you to keep that in the back of your head as I continue to talk and we continue to work through some of this stuff. Trying to make notes this time so more organized. But, you know, saying that, but at the time where I was sitting, where probably many of you are, I couldn't believe anything else about myself. I just was so stuck under those beliefs that I was just not enough. I was just not lovable, and I was too far gone. And part of when you start believing those things, there's another set of terrible things that happens because of that brokenness that you also start to believe, and you start to operate with these thoughts in mind. The next set of thoughts you start to have is, well, I don't deserve any better because of the things I've done. I'm no good now because of the things I've done. It's too late for me, or I'm too far gone to deserve anything better. And this is the big one, and this is the one we're going to address. If anyone found out what I was guilty of or what I have done, if any of the people in my life currently would know what I've really done, nobody would love me. And that, my friends, is not true. However, if that's a statement you constantly find yourself falling under, where if they find out, maybe you watching this video, you're fearful someone in your family's going to see you watching this and ask you, why are you watching that? And, I'm sorry if you're dealing with that. I was there once. But along those lines, you may have also heard things, and I'm sure if you have, this reel is still playing in your head on a regular basis, that not only would nobody like you, but you should also know better. How could you be so stupid? And you should be ashamed of yourself for all the stupid things you've done. Those are statements that should never be uttered to another human, regardless of what they've done. I want to stress that. I can't actually stress it enough. Anyhow, if that reel's repeating in your head, I know what that sounds like, and I know where that keeps you. And I want to tell you that you can turn that reel off at any point in time. It also doesn't sound good when it's that reel that keeps you from hoping for better things or trying to reach out when you want help. Those things that I mentioned, those statements are all lies. I just want you to know that. Those are lies, and I'll get religious on you, created by a darker power in this world that wants to keep you living in that darkness, because the further down in that darkness you go, the lonelier and lonelier you get. And the reason I say that is because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be standing in my kitchen with a handful of pills, deciding whether or not I should swallow them and end my life. The only thing that kept me from making that decision was the fact that I didn't want my kids coming home from elementary school and finding me dead. So if it wasn't for my kids, I probably would be dead today. Anyhow, those statements that I went over, they have us trapped in these beliefs that we're not good enough to be loved, right? They're lies, but we believe them pretty much in our head and our whole self. And they don't sound very loving. So if I go back to that original statement by George Sand, where he says, true happiness in life is to love and be loved, and this is what you believe about yourself, how could you ever possibly hope for happiness, joy, and just peace in your life? Well, let me help explain to you how you can by first let's talking about what is love. Because if you're sitting here with a past similar to mine, or other past, but we all run parallel poor decision-making processes, we have a very broken and skewed idea of what love is. I learned at a young age that to be loved meant I had to give something of myself to be pleased, to be pleasing, to make someone happy with me or accept me. That was the belief that I got in my head. I can't say that that was what was told to me, because that's not true. But that, when that happens to you, is a belief system you start to have, because you feel very broken and very dirty, and the only way to make you feel better about yourself is to continue that bad behavior. And the more you continue that bad behavior, the more broken and dirty and awful you feel about yourself. It's just this nasty, repetitive cycle, right? Okay, so if we can agree that we may not have a good handle on what love is, let me give you an example, the most ultimate example of what love is. So in the past two videos, if you've watched, I've taken you to this idea of the cross. And I want to go there again today with you. And please don't turn me off, and please don't look away, or please don't go, oh God, she's getting religious. Just bear with me. In the past I've asked you if you're at least willing to believe the historical facts that this man that we know today as Jesus Christ, they had other names for him then, but if you're willing to follow the historical proof that he existed, right? He was a man like any other man existed. He had a ministry, and he was followed by a group of men they called his disciples, who went on later to document stories of what he did and the lessons he taught. And that's now in our collection we call our New Testament, right? Many of us live by that book because it's life for us. But regardless, we're going to just stay with the facts here. That man willingly turned himself over to an angry mob, right? To the local authorities. He willingly played into their hands knowing that it ultimately meant his death. But he did it anyway. He allowed them to torture him. He then drug a cross and allowed them to nail him to it. And he suffered a horrible death. Why would someone not guilty of anything put themselves through all of that? Because he loved us. Truly loved us. He knew what we were capable of. He knew what we were guilty of. He was the victim of our own greed and hunger for power. But he still, on that cross, said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And if you think that you're too far gone, or that if anybody finds out of me, the crap you might have been guilty of doing is actually a possibility, one of those men on a cross on that same day actually yelled out to him, will you remember me before your Father? And Christ said to him in his last moments on earth, surely I tell you, you will be with me in paradise today. And he knew all his dirt. So let me go back to reassure you, there's nothing that you are guilty of or you could have done that would not also be covered there. And I can further talk about the fact that I have been through Christian counseling. I have read that Bible inside and out. I have sat in many different church sermons and I have listened to many different Christian speakers. And nowhere, anywhere, is there a list of exceptions that was nailed at the bottom of that cross that said, if you're guilty of this, I'm sorry, you stand outside here, you're not getting in. It doesn't work like that. But I want to just keep going back to what he did was what love is. Knowing everything we're guilty of and taking, well, he took the actual punishment for us to be sacrificed for us so that we could be with him yet in heaven. That was his belief. Whether or not you agree that was going to happen or that's what's going to happen, he believed that. So he was willing to die like that for you. So let me take you back now to that nasty little list of things that you say about yourself, and I said about myself, that I do not deserve better. I'm no good. It's too late for me. I'm too far gone. And if anyone knew what I was guilty of, nobody would love me. Well, I just proved all of that was wrong, okay? And here's another thought. Imagine, right, if you took those same statements and turned it around and said it to somebody you do feel absolute love for, that you would be willing to be nailed to a cross if you knew it meant their survival, okay? Imagine saying something to your child like, you know what, you don't deserve anything better in this life. Imagine saying to your child that you love and adore more than anything else, you're no good, you never will be. Or, you know what, it's too late for you. The fact that you just colored on your walls, forget it. No one's ever gonna love you. Or the fact that you lied at school or you got pregnant as a teenager. Imagine saying that to your own child. Why would you say that to yourself? That's something you're gonna have to work on. But we believe this stuff. We really do. We believe this stuff all day long, every day. I know I was there. I believed it for a lifetime. It sucks the life, the hope, and the energy right out of you. And it even causes you to seek out relationships, and I know this one first-handed, that only further these beliefs in us about ourselves. Let me make an example. If you don't think you deserve better, what kind of man, if you're a woman, do you think you're chasing after? A man, I'm not sure, whatever. Or what kind of relationship would you go after? What kind of person do you choose? Are you going to go after somebody who's going to be there for you no matter what you've done? Come home and say, honey, I lost my job. Oh my gosh. Or you come home and say, honey, oh my God, I did something so stupid today. you know, I told a lie at work and I got caught and now I got fired and I'm going to have to do this or that, or I'm being arrested, or whatever it is. Like, that might be extreme because even in our society that's a tough one, but still, would that person still be there tomorrow? And not only be there, would they be willing to go to bat for you and defend you and take it for you while you deal with the consequences of whatever it is you're going through? If you answer yes to it, that is amazing. And I tell you, work at that relationship, give it everything you have, and you have a true partner in this life, and that's awesome. I can say I have that now. I didn't have that then, and again, I will not go back and blame either of my ex-husbands because I was as guilty of treating them the same way. So I had another example down, but I'll keep going, so sorry. One of the examples I have, and maybe I do need to bring it up, is maybe you seek out relationships with people who they'll withhold affection from you, or they'll withhold attention, or they'll withhold giving kind words to you if you don't behave or do certain things for them. And I just want to tell you that that is the ultimate form of narcissism and unloving relationship you could have. So if that is where you're at, and if you can identify either you being that way with someone or you allowing someone, having a relationship with someone that's like that to you, I would urge you to take a step back and really think hard about why you're with that person. But, you know, again, topic for another video, I guess. You might be sitting there right now totally getting what I'm saying or ready to strangle me because I'm hitting a nerve. Or maybe you're saying, well, okay, I get all this, but how the hell do I get off this hamster wheel? I want to stop, but I don't know how. Okay, so please let me reiterate. I was you, and I know what you're like. I know what you're feeling like. I also know how lonely you probably feel. I also know how tired you probably feel. I know how frightened you are of somebody finding out your crap. But here's what I'm going to tell you. The first step off this wheel is talking. So you need to hear me on this. You have to reach out. You have to find someone you trust to talk to. Whether it's you have something in your past like I did, or whatever it is, whether you've been hiding the fact that you had an abortion when you were a teenager and you never wanted anybody to know, or that you did whatever it is. I don't know. I'm only using my examples because that's what held me back. Those were the things that I believed that I had to keep secrets about myself. But there's no point. I have nothing to hold back anymore because there is nothing that I've done that isn't covered by Christ's love. And I know that I'm forgiven and I'm loved and I'm free, which is why I can sit here and talk to you. Find someone to talk to. Reach out and get help. If you're not sure who that is, talk to your family doctor. Reach out for counseling if you really need to, but get help and start talking. Don't let that darkness hold you down. I guarantee, and trust me, I assure you in this, the minute that you start to talk, you start to feel some peace. You can sleep at night. You start to feel a little better about the person you see in the mirror, because what you are going to find out and what you are going to hear is someone look at you and say, it's okay. And essentially tell you that you're still so loved. And if you don't have someone like that to talk to and you're not sure how to go about this, drop me a message below. I'll listen all day long, because I assure you there's nothing that you can tell me that's going to make me change my mind about what I believe or how I think or how I feel. I hope what I may have had to say today helped somebody out there and reached one of you. I hope it made sense. I tried to make it flow a little better. I apologize, I'm fighting a cold, so if I seem a little lucid, again, I apologize. But message me below if you need someone to talk to, if you want to know more about my faith, or if you want to know more about the freedom that Christ offers. Message me. I'll be happy to pray with you. I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share my video to someone else you feel could be helped. Thanks and have a great week. Okay, I know I said I was done, but I also explained I have a cold, so I forgot something, and it was a rather important something I wanted to share. one of the reasons that I stress the idea of being able to talk for you and getting help and surrounding yourself with people that you can share whatever it is you need to get off your chest, whatever sins you think you're guilty of. The biggest reason is this. Like I said, I was sitting exactly where you are 10 years ago. The difference, there's two things, but the first difference is I talked. I found people who would listen. I got counseling, I got help, and I talked. And when I started talking, it was when I started feeling free and I started having peace. And here's the funny thing. When I was where you are, I was completely and utterly alone. At least I thought I was. The funny thing is, this wonderful God that I believe in, that loves me and you, placed people in my life that were there waiting for me to talk. This is my dog, who also adores me. When I was willing to talk, those people were there ready to listen. So let's come forward 10 years. I came out of a bad marriage, not just because of him, but because of my mess too. I started healing. I received Christ and received that ultimate love that we all so desperately want. But here's the funny thing. Not only did I do that, I received a tribe of women who support me. Women who know all my junk, and not only support me, are the ones praying over me and encouraging me to continue this series. I have this amazing, loving husband who is not only running the video camera, moving the lights around right now, but encouraging me to talk and telling me every day how proud he is of me and how much it makes him love me even more. I have 3 amazing children who, this might shock you, know all of this junk because I don't have any secrets from them. And here's the thing. They're proud of me. They don't care what I've done, but they believe in me. And the example that I'm setting for them, surprisingly, is on my Mother's Day card from my oldest son. What he said is, Mom, thank you for showing me it's okay to fall and get back up. So 10 years ago, I had no one. I believed that by keeping my mouth shut, somehow I was going to be okay. I start talking and got help, received Christ, and now I'm surrounded by love, support, friendship, and encouragement. That's what I want you to have too, but you first got to be willing to talk. Thank you for listening to me again. If you have questions or you're still not sure of some of the stuff you're hearing, please drop me a message. If you think anything I have to say is going to help someone that you care about, please share this video with them. Have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.